up YouTube? Topaz Yates back for another requested review, and this one is to that Rockit, the Rocketeer. This project isn't all that bad right here, man, as Rockit is a New York City rapper that comes off as a direct descendant to Charles Hamilton here. And for multiple reasons, starting with they both are from New York, and secondly, when you look at songs off this project like Ghost in the Shell, because this is something that Charles Hamilton was one of the first dudes to do back in the day, where he pretty much started making songs based off of video games and referencing all of the characters and all of that, and that was pretty cool, and that's exactly what you're doing on this particular song, Ghost in the Shell. For those of you who don't know, Ghost in the Shell, that's an anime in which Hollywood just released a movie for with Scarlett Johansson in there, which that was kind of weird because it's a Japanese anime, Scarlett Johansson being the main character, but whatever, man. And you know, honestly, it's an interesting concept. I did enjoy the production that you got on it, which is a good touch right there. Like, I would usually say you might as well go ahead and sample the Ghost in the Shell OST in order to create this so it can get the whole feeling, in which I went through a whole bunch of the OSTs and I realized that this wasn't a part of it. I could still be mistaken because I wasn't a huge fan of Ghost in the Shell, you dig? But ultimately, if you didn't do it, that's smart, because a lot of dudes these days are getting sued for stuff that they did a long time ago and put it out on a free mixtape. Like, that's what happened to Mac Miller. Back in the day, he sampled something before he was even put on in the game, before he even had notoriety, all like that. He sampled something and the producer came back after he signed his big deal that he got with Warner Brothers and got some money up off of him because of that. So it pays this day and age to be able to just go ahead and do you. And the way you went about this song was rather interesting, because you're pretty much referencing the anime and applying it to things that's going on in life right now, in which that's pretty dope that you would do that, because nothing about this anime has anything to do with what's going on in this day and age. For those of you who haven't seen the anime, it's super futuristic and it's like super weird as well. It's super dry. That's why I couldn't really get into it. But in the end, how you're saying things like cybernetics, naturalistic humanism, playing off the fact that Ghost in the Shell is mostly all about cybernetics and all of that in the future, but yet you're making up your own worlds, much like how you look at the media and you see them start talking things like alternative facts, which is something that they just completely made up. So honestly, I enjoyed what you're doing there, as the production was solid. One of the better tracks that's up on here. My next favorite track off of this is For the Lot. Even though, like, my favorite songs that you had on this project right here, they express the same kind of flaws that you got, because they're all super brief, except for one that I'm gonna talk about a little later, but yet they're really just like one verse and you keep it moving, and that's messed up, because songs like For the Lot has a lot of potential, to the point that I would say you need to go back and remix this joint right here, you did, and make it into an extended full song, because this comes off as a single like feel, where you're representing your hometown, you're representing your hood, you're representing your people, and they got that energy and bounce that this current generation like to have, you dig? Like, you gotta definitely clean some stuff up, and we're gonna touch more on some of that a lot later, but ultimately this could really be something right here with this song. My next favorite song is that Boogie, where this song ultimately comes off as one of those Maybach music type joints that Rick Ross tends to be kicking out, with that luxury sound production that you got right there, as you really just going in and spitting some really smooth lyricism, where you're showing off your unique train of thought with bars like how you're smashing doggy style because life is a bitch. Now that was pretty dope of a punchline right there, because you're flipping up the whole cliche life is a bitch, which bitch is meaning multiple things, as in a female dog, and that's why you're having sex with it doggy style, as dogs tend to do, but yet life is a bitch is the cliche, man. That was a solid joint right there. Where that was the only song that was actually extended to the point that it really needed to be, where you could actually use that song for promotional purposes. Like, that joint was rather solid. And the last track that I liked was The Whackness, where again it's another super brief joint, where what you're pretty much going in on is the music industry as you see fit, and it's really not something that you like that anymore, because You see a whole lot of people out here faking it until they making it, and it's all lies. And then on top of it, a lot of these individuals are completely whack, but yet all of the fans still rocking with them. And these are things that really frustrate you to this point. And I feel that because it's true, man. Like, it doesn't take any skills at all to really be popular in this game, to actually get the backing within the record labels, to the point that I believe that the record labels intentionally seek out individuals in order to put them on because they're being so terrible. Like, they really want to destroy the game and move it on and give it to other people. But in the end, you got to understand how the game is being played and you adapt to it. There's no point in being upset with all of these other individuals that's getting their money and finding their success. Like, they just gonna do them, and I'm happy to see any young black individual to get their money on top of it. So don't be upset about it. Just know that this is how the game is being played, and adapt so you can go ahead and get that money too, but yet do it in something that's really well for you. But the last song that I definitely wanted to touch on here, which happened to not be one of my favorite songs right here, that Rockin' and Rollin', but yet it's important to talk about this one for multiple reasons, because this is one of those tracks that I know what you tried to do here. You tried to create something unique and different that sounded completely different from what anybody is hearing out here in the game, and I give you kudos for that, for the attempt to try something unique and different. But yet ultimately you have to have unique and different to only go with super dope. You did? Like, there's no other way to go about it. And because this song wasn't super dope, it exposed a bunch of your flaws that you have as an individual MC that you definitely need to grow on. You did? Starting with your delivery, because your delivery is ultimately how you are saying things. It's ultimately you pretty much telling me what you're saying and me believing it because you're saying it so passionately. You're saying it the absolute right way and all of that, man. And that's something that you really don't have. Honestly, the way you say your lyrics, if you're not intent on focusing, trying to figure out exactly what you mean, exactly what you're saying, then honestly, it'll just go over your head and you won't care about it. It's not all that interesting how you're spitting your bars, in which that's something that you just got to continue to practice. You got to continue to work on. Just say your rhymes over and over and over, man, until you say them correctly, until you say them the exact way that you want to say them, and then slower individual words that you normally wasn't going to slow in order to find exactly what you trying to say, be unique amongst everybody else that's out here. And then your flow is rather flawed as well, because you try to be more complex than what your skill set is actually allowing you to be. Like, it honestly comes off as you write all your lyrics and then you go about trying to fit them on the beat instead of trying to mash it all together to being right, like coming up with one particular flow to go with one particular beat and let the entire song rock like that, and only variate it but so often when you actually need to do it. Instead, your flow continues to change and evolve, and it honestly makes people lose interest by doing that. Like, you're not really remaining consistent with stuff when you really need it to be consistent. And these are all things that are going to continue to grow with you as you continue to write your lyrics, because at moments you do showcase some pretty decent lyricism, but yet the more practice you put in, the more you write, man, the more you continue to learn. You learn your vocabulary, continue to do more metaphors and wordplay and all of that, man. The better of a lyricist you will ultimately become, and all of these things will come into play and you'll be able to mash them all together. So ultimately, my key recommendation for you to continue to pursue and get better in this game, man, is just to practice. This is something that I've done in my lifetime, man. I created Lyrical Bootcamp, whereas every day I would write 16 bars. But then a few years later, I expanded on it. Every day I would create a full song. And I continued with that till I got to the point like, okay, I'm gonna make 300 songs a year. And out of that 300 songs, I'm gonna select this certain amount and use that for whatever album I'm gonna go ahead and do in the future. Doing stuff like this, man, it'll make you get so much better, man. And that's honestly what you need to do. But overall, everybody out there, man, you need to go ahead and check this guy on out, man. The link to his project is in the description below, and definitely tell him how you feel about it, dude. Keep on grinding out here. I hope you enjoyed the show. You can follow me at Twitter up there, and you can go to downloadpads.com, that's down there, to read today's article.